Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Part 2 of this one. So what we ended up doing in the last one is actually installing this Basterd Works front end kit, which included this entire front rail, the actual like fixing block which attaches to the body of the replica. This is a HPA Saiga 12K, if you're not aware. The actual barrel is 3D printed. So is this muzzle flash here, this chubby choke, I think we're calling it. But that entire thing now is all 3D printed out of PLA+. So this thing is so light. Now, what I ended up doing in the last video is I started to put a stock tube on the back here instead of the standard Saiga 12K like folding stock. And what unfortunately ended up happening, again, this is from Basterd Labs, so links will be down in the description below. But what unfortunately ended up happening is this. So I ended up snapping it when I was actually installing it on the end here. Now I went back and I was like, why has this happened? Because generally all of the parts are just very, very solid. And I realized that the presets on my actual H2D when I actually printed this had this with a 12% infill, which basically, if you're not in the 3D printing world, you can see that that is not solid in any way. And it's just kind of like little lattice structure. Now, the higher infill you get, the more that is filled out with like solid actual material. So I went back and I reprinted this thing and I printed it with 60% infill. So it should not have the same weakness at all, because I restarted printing it and then I thought, oh, I need to go check it. So I actually stopped that print, canceled it, and then redid this one. So I'm hoping this should be great. If not, I could go back and do 100% infill, which would basically make this entire thing solid. Solid PLA or solid plastic effectively. And so I'm quite excited to just try this one on. That would increase the time. So I think this took about 2 hours to print when I initially did it. And this one took about 3.5 hours. So quite a bit more time, but actually if it's going to last, I'm a lot more happy with that. Weight wise, there isn't a huge amount of difference. I was expecting this to weigh like 2 or 3 times the weight, and it is heavier, but it does not seem to be that same kind of weight difference. So what I'm going to do is remove this pin, and I've got your desk overlay here so you guys can see, but I'm going to remove this pin that had the folding stock in there before. We removed this little clasp clamp thing here because we're not going to need it because it's going to fold in there. And then what I'm going to do is install this, and then we're going to put this Daniel Defense actual stock on it. Now, I'm not sure about this stock. Obviously, it's not black in keeping with the rest of the shotgun, but I think I am going to spray it. And I love these stocks. I have to say, like, in terms of like ergonomics and like actual like comfort, it's just, or comfort and ergonomics are probably in the same field, but the actual like use of it is great. It is quite stiff and tough to get this one on, so we'll see me struggle with that in a bit, I'm sure. But let's get on with it so that we don't make this video too long for you guys. Oh, the only other thing I did was I actually put one of these charging handles on here. So that's just like a little clip insert, but I didn't do that in the last video, and I just did that before this video because I had that sitting there waiting. So what I'm going to do is get this top rail off, sorry, this top cover off, because we don't need that. Okay. And then I'm going to get the pin and knock this guy out. Where is the punch? That's what I need. I need this guy right here. I'm going to probably do a more solid punch on this. Yeah, let's go with that. And my little hammer. So you guys can see that there. Yep. Move this stuff out of the way. So all I need to do is basically this thing pushes up. We worked that out in the last video. But as I was doing it, I'm like, am I hitting this the right way? And what we worked out is like, obviously when you've got that in there, like for that to come up and not just slip out the bottom makes a lot more sense. So this has got the kind of textured ridged end on there. So now all I really need to do is just slip this guy in here. And now this is a lot easier to change than the SBS stock tube that we did. That stock tube was a bit of a nightmare because you actually have to take out the trigger box to get it in. It's like a solid piece because it is like a folding stock tube. And I've done that on my SBS. So if you want to go and watch that video, definitely go and check that one out. Because that one was a bit more of an effort to get it on. But actually that thing now like the weight that took off it was insane. Like it was so much heavier. And now we've kind of done the, push this down right into place. Make sure that's flat. Okay, so that's nice and flat. And now what I'm going to do is see if this clicks in. Now we had this before where this isn't fully clicking in here. You can see there, it's like not fully retracting, and that's actually how I broke it. I smacked it to try and see if it would go in. So I think what we're going to have to do is just like file this down slightly, which isn't hard to do, but actually what I have forgotten to do is get my files out. So I'm gonna have to pause the video and go and get it. But again, that is gonna be a lot lighter in that location now than it was previously. And so I'm gonna go now quickly and just get my file, just because I think I just need to take that inside edge. Oh, I don't know what I did there, guys. I just kind of like paused my screen. I need to take that inside edge off right there. And then as soon as I've done that, I'm thinking it should go in. But that folds pretty much flush right there. The like tension on it is great. Like that is pretty perfect in terms of tension. But obviously we need that to lock in. I don't think I'm actually going to have it like lock in and lock out very often. I can't see the need for that. I basically will probably just have it extended nearly all the time. So I kind of just definitely want it to be in that. Okay, so one sec, I'm just going to get my files. Okay, so I'm back and we have this, my little like very cheap set of files here. I'm probably just gonna get, what do I want? I'll probably take this guy just because it's gonna give me a bit more point to get into that corner. And then I'm gonna move this onto this side. In fact, I'll fold it like this. And then we just want to basically just file this inside here. And I just need that thickness basically just to drop off so that we've got less. Less thickness there. I don't know how much I need to take off is the only issue because it's very hard to see. But that is removing some material, which is great. This PLA like Plus is definitely a lot harder than the regular PLA. So it is kind of more difficult to, in a good way, more difficult to get it thinner. I'm kind of take that material off. Let's try that. I could just kind of try hammering this down slightly and we'll just see if that. Okay, so that is locked in. So maybe what I'll do for now is just kind of give that a bit of a. Okay, so that's locked now. So I can, basically that is in place. It was just kind of like that edge, just pushing that down. So that would actually have just shaved that edge down, which is kind of perfect. So really, I might have been able to do that without the thing. I would also use like the rubber end of this mallet because, or this hammer, because that is definitely going to do less damage to there. So I started doing it with the metal part to start with. Okay, and now all I need to do, I say all I need to do because this bit is notoriously difficult, is put this guy on. I probably maybe should have done this before. So basically with these DDM4 ones, you kind of need to push it and then you need to pull it down all the way that you can. Do it on here. Push this. Pull this up. Okay, there we go. And then that is now in. That's locking into place perfectly. And I don't know in terms of length what I'll have that at. That's probably good for me there. So guys, that is now what this thing is looking like. And obviously this isn't black, but if I spray paint the rest of this guy now into a more kind of like deeper tone, which I kind of like, this is, as I've said before, like this is my HPA. This is going to be my HPA rifle. So this is going to be, obviously it's got the Basterd Labs trigger guard. It's got the Basterd Labs grip. I think I called it Basterd Works in the last video. I realized it's not Basterd Works, it's Basterd Labs. And there will be a link down to his page for the Cults3D. I've done a ton of videos on this guy now. So it kind of feels like I'm his fanboy, just kind of doing all these videos about his stuff, but he keeps releasing things that I want to put on my replicas. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. But basically, yeah, so it's got the stock tube. It's going to have the front end. I think this is about $12. This is like 3 or 4 euros maybe to do the stock tube. And then obviously you can print it if it breaks or you damage it or whatever you're going to do, then you have that option. But this thing now is super comfortable, like lightweight in terms of what it weighed before. And so I'm pretty happy with this, I have to say. I think it's pretty cool looking. Like the level of this as well is kind of perfect, where I probably will not need too much of a riser on a sight. And now I can kind of put my red dot there, whereas with the original Saiga, it just has that kind of like iron sight gas tube, kind of fixed iron sight on the gas tube there. That's it. But anyway, guys, that is this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a short one, which some of you I'm sure like, as opposed to my like 45-minute, 2-hour videos that I'll do. This is probably one of the last in the series. I may do a video just building this out, i.e. attaching the attachments I'm going to have. But this is going to be outdoors, so it doesn't need like a PEC unit. It doesn't need like a flashlight or a laser on it. This is going to be for my like outdoor game days. And so basically all I need on this is a sight now. And I've done pretty much everything else. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will see you very soon on the next video. Have a great day wherever you are.